welcome back to Bumble Stitches. My name's Nicola and today is the 1st of January 2023. So happy new year to you all. I hope you all had a really lovely time celebrating yesterday. We had a bit of a quiet one, which is how we like it. But yes, 2023 already. So today's video is not a normal floss tube. It's going to be a whip parade. And I think it might be time for some of these whips to bite the dust, because I don't know if they're going to get done at this stage now. So you can't see, I've got piles and piles of project bags just here in front of me. I'm in a different location. I'm here in the craft room office, and Justin actually bought me a ring light at Christmas time, so I'm hoping it doesn't reflect in my glasses too much, but it does give me the opportunity to film even when it's getting a bit darker outside. So hopefully it's okay. There's lots of pretties to look at in the background. There's an empty cubby just here where I keep a basket of whips and projects. So that's all on the table in front of me now. And what I plan to do is, I've got some containers here. I've got the basket that lives in the cubby hole that I just showed you. So that's all empty and ready to go. I've got a large Lorry Holt bag here, really big one, ready for some projects. And I've got an empty cubby just here, just out of shot, that's all ready to go as well. And I'm going to try and separate my whips into things that are monthly projects, like Anniversaries of the Heart, for example. Things that I want to be working on as priorities, and then the rest. And as I said, if I come across any that I really don't feel that I'm going to finish, I'll decide what to do with them. Perhaps they might need to be looking for new homes. So shall we get cracking, because there's quite a lot here in front of me. I'm not going to go through all the project bags, what the project bags are, because you've probably seen them before and there aren't any new ones. And some of these bags have actually got more than one project in, so it's all a little bit of a mess. So this is the ideal opportunity to just go through them all. And right, let's get started. Okay, first up, and I'm just going to get these out as they come. This is Flea Market Flowers by Lorry Holt, and I'm pretty sure I'm stitching this with all the DMC flosses, and I'm liking the new lighting, that it's giving some nice colours. In fact, it's sort of saturating them a little bit, but at least you can see. And this is how far I got with Flea Market Flowers, but it is something that I want to stitch in the future. So we're going to pop that one. I'm going to have to pop these in the bags as I go, because as I'm sure if any of you have got quite as many whips as I have, or more, and there's no judgment here, then you'll know that these need to be put back, as it just becomes a great big old mess. So that one I think is going to go in the get round to section, which is in the cubby hole there. Next up is, this one is Spring, the Spring tiered tray, Hello Spring, which is by Madame Chantilly. And can't even remember how far I got with this. Again, I think this is all being stitched with the DMC flosses. I had them really long at that point. I don't have nearly as long now. I'm sorry for the reflection on my glasses. I did try and film without my glasses on, but that was just impossible because I literally can't see. So let's have a look at this. I don't know what linen I'm stitching this on. It's quite a big count, but you can see how far I'd got with that one. And I think this might be a contender for rehoming, I think. I'm going to put it to one side and we'll go back to those at the end. So that's the Hello Spring by Madame Chantilly. Let's put that one back in its bag. So that's a maybe. I'm going to put that on the cubby behind me. Right, next is, I'm hoping they don't all fall over. Next one This is, okay, this is All Creatures Great and Small. I'm just trying to find the front page, by Barbara Anna. So you're probably familiar with this. And this is a really, really long-standing WIP of mine. And I think what's stopping me is the fabric. It's a 32 count Murano fabric that I'm stitching this on. I've got a fair portion of it done. And this was just a plain sort of cream piece of fabric that I walnut dyed using walnut crystals. So you can see it has got quite a lot of mottling, which I really like, but the problem being there isn't an awful lot of space here at the top for finishing, and I don't know whether it's going to be a problem for the future. I'm almost wondering if I should start this project again on different linen. I think this is going to be a think about it one. I do love it and I want to have it eventually, and I'm using a combination here of DMC and anchor threads. So again, super long, obviously the way I used to do things when I first got back to stitching. So that one's going to be a, do I finish it on that fabric, or do I start it again on some different fabric? So that can go in the maybe cubby there behind me. How are we doing? This one's not even in a project bag. This is just in a little Ziploc baggy type thing. And this was a freebie for the Granny Square Along by Laurie Holt. And this was a freebie from Fat Quarter Shop. And it uses all the Aurifil colours that I'm using for my Prim stitch series, and this is as far as I got with that. I think this is a 32 count, is it Belfast? Yeah, 32 count Belfast linen, and it's just an ivory, I think. Doesn't say on the pack, but yeah, I only got as far as that. I think the reason I stopped was because I was worrying about using too much of the Aurifil floss and running out for the main projects I was stitching. So I would like to do that one, because I think it would make a really nice pin cushion. But if that's something that I can put in the stitch sooner rather than later pile, because that's not really very much stitching, is it, just to finish 3 of those little granny squares. So I'm going to pop that one in the Laurie Holt bag down there. This is, I know what this isn't actually a WIP. This is all the Country Cottage Needleworks Nutcracker Village. It's all the patterns in there, barring one which I think I've got over in New Stash, so that shouldn't even be in here. But if it was a WIP, it would be going in the monthly parts pile. So I'm going to put that to one side. I put it in the monthly basket anyway. I hope that didn't clonk too much. I'll just move that basket a tiny bit. Okay, moving on. I think we've got some Christmas WIPs in here as well. And this one, this is a long, this should be done by now. This is a long-standing WIP. This is hands-on design, and it's the Merry Chalkful. And I'm just doing the main part here, using all the called for classic colourworks. And you'll see from, it's probably quite a good indicator of how long the project's been hanging on, of how long I've kept the threads. And progress on that one is this. So again, probably most of it is done. I think the jar probably, I might have got a bit bored of that at that point. And also stitching on the dark fabric. This again is a Zweigart. I can't remember the colour, if it's charcoal or if it's black, but it's not a true black. And I've got quite a big piece of fabric here. So I could probably do a few of those, but I'm not sure stitching on this dark fabric is really my favourite thing to do. But I think that one can be a comeback to, especially seeing as it's Christmas stitching, and I think Christmas stitching is a little bit past now, isn't it? Or are you still stitching on Christmas? I know lots of people probably are. So that'll be a comeback to, that can go in the cubby. I've just realised I've got 2 whips left in the, that I've left behind in the lounge. So at some point I'll pause and go and get those. Next up is, this is a bag of Halloween stitching. And what's in here? I think there was more than one project. I think I have my La-di-da Something Wicked This Way Comes. But at the moment, the only thing I've got in here, in a very sorry state, is this attached? No. This is part of Jack-O-Lantern Jubilee by Brenda Gervais. Paula and I started a stitch along. Paula finished hers. I think this is Broomhilda, but that's as far as I got. I think I got distracted with the La-di-da chart. So that, of course, is from the Jack-O-Lantern Jubilee booklet. And I'm stitching with mostly DMC, and I think there were a couple of Weeks Dye Works. Yeah, there's an Oscar and a Pelican Grey in there. I think I sort of went through and matched up where I could. So that's Halloween. That's going to be a wait for a little while project, so that can go in the cubby. Next up in this bag is, I hope I'm not going too fast. If you've got any questions, then you can leave them in the comments below. Now this is a 2 project bag, and it is, I'm going to take these out of the bags because they're going to reflect dreadfully. So this is Harrietta & Co. by Brenda Gervais with the needle and thread. And that one is got a bit of progress there, just coming down the body, and worked a bit on her pinafore dress. So I think that's one that I need to address because that'll be nice for springtime and Easter. And also living in that bag, and honestly the flosses in, I'm just going to show you these flosses. This is what we have. This is a bit of a, it's a glorious mess because they're all wonderful flosses, but it's a real big mess. I'm going to pop those down before I lose any. The other project that was living in here is from this booklet, which is Keeper of the Pins, again by Brenda Gervais of With Thy Needle and Thread. And I have made a start on one of the projects, this one with the lovely bird on the, I believe it's supposed to be a sewing clamp. And this fabric is a 36 count sycamore seed from Eva Faith, which is Paula. So gorgeous. And I think this is a get it done sooner rather than later project. But I really do need to address those flosses because that will drive me nuts when I get it out to stitch again. So that one can go in the Laurie Holt bag. Okay, we've still got quite a lot of projects on here. Let's move this one out of the way. This is in a great big bag, and I think this had a few different things in it. But what have we got in here now? Okay, it did have You Are the Boss of Your Own Quilt, which is complete and is just sitting there. And it's got all the flosses in, which are on, I will get organised enough to show you the actual chart in a moment. I'm just struggling to find the front page. Here it is. So it's Vintage Housewife, really pretty. I love the red and white gingham on this one. And progress, I think I was a bit gung-ho about this when I started, and then realised that gingham is actually quite a lot of stitching, so that's as far as I got with that one. but I would like to get some more work done on that, and I think I'll split that into almost like a monthly part. I can do one of the sections each month. I think that's how the stitch along initially worked, because we've got 3, 6, 9, 10. So yeah, I think that's going to be into the monthly parts. And all the flosses I've got on the floss flowers, they're all the DMC, which is called for. Okay, so that one's in the monthly parts basket. Let me move some of this pile down before it all cascades. The next one, I know this is another monthly part in this bag here, and this is the Prim Stitch series from Holt. These were released monthly, and they are stitched using the Prim Orifloss collection by Holt, which I don't have handy. Have I got it handy? No, I don't, but it's on these, I don't know if you can see in here, the sort of spool types, not the plastic ones, the wooden Orifloss spools. And I was doing really, really well with this and then stopped. So that's my progress. So you can see I need to finish that block, this one here, and then I've got 3 blocks at the bottom to finish, and this is on a 28 count mushroom Lugana, and all the called for flosses, and a little modification on the first block because I changed the flag to suit where I live. So this one is in monthly parts and also is something that I need to get stitched. What I would like to do is, in my planner, is to break the, I know some months have more than 4 weeks, but work on a 4 weekly plan, almost like a rotation. I want to keep 1 week back for stitch alongs. I've got a couple of stitch alongs that I've been invited to do this year, so I'll keep 1 week for those once they begin, 1 week for the monthly parts, maybe 2 weeks, we'll see how it goes, and then anything else, all the other sort of priority ones. So hopefully that will keep me on track and get some of these whips stitched up and finished. I also need to properly allow some time for finishing, because like a lot of us, I'm quite good at doing the stitchy part and then pile up the finished pieces that are not FFO'd. So that one can go in the monthly parts. And then we have here, flash the chart briefly, sorry about that. I can't actually show you the chart of this one because I don't have a, there's not a complete picture, but this is Hello Sunshine by Caterpillar Cross Stitch. And again, I'm really close to a finish on this one. Just this little area down here to go, and that will be done. And I know that Mum has asked me to finish this one for one of her friends who is flamingo mad, and the plan is that I'd stitch it into a cushion and we'd send that to her. All the DMC flosses on that came with the kit, and the little toucan needle minder as well. So I think this one needs to be a priority and get it done. And if Mum's watching this, she'll be saying, yes, Nicola, get that one done for my friend. So I'm going to put that in the priority bag. Next one is, I don't think I've got much on this one. Oh, there's more than one in here. This is another one of these where I've just put loads of whips into one bag. And let's do them one at a time. So the first one is Autumn Alphabet, which is by Willow Hill Samplings. Sorry, I had to just check that. Really pretty, and not a lot of progress on this. It's quite a small piece. Should really have persevered. The fabric is a little bit more gold than it's coming across on the camera at the moment. And I have put together my own colours for this. to try and replicate what was called for. I think when I wanted to start it, I didn't have all the colours, and I was trying to not be too spendy and get it kitted up and get started on it. So I'm happy with my colour choices, but again, I need to just get with the programme on that one. And the other one in here, sort of like an autumnal bag really. This is Harvest Blessings by Brenda Gervais, and this came with the Coming to America chart. And progress on here, you can see, was doing really well, and then obviously a squirrel came along and completely distracted me. And that one is, again, I've pulled my own colours from Stash. I've got all sorts in here. I've got DMC, some Anchor, a couple of overdyed Gentle Arts, and just pulled my own flosses for that. This will be a comeback too. I'm not feeling autumn at the moment, so those two can go back in their bag, and they can be go in the cubby. Okay, another long standing WIP for me, and this is the Jane Austen Sampler by Modern Folk Embroidery, and I love this, really love it, but there's a but. I don't like the fabric I'm stitching it on, which is a shame because I think it's just going to be too big. I don't know what fabric it is. This was one of, again, this was an early start for me. This has been hanging around almost since I got back to cross stitching. I guess I would say it's 28 count. It might even be 25, but it is quite big. As you can see, that's only a quarter of the chart and is going to be quite big, and I don't know whether to continue with it and just go with it or to do it on a smaller count fabric. So this is going to be in the maybe pile. And I was using DMC for this project in the shade 317, which is the charcoal grey. Okay, so that's on the maybe pile. I should have brought a drink with me really, there's a lot of talking in this video. Next project is another caterpillar cross stitch one. And as you can tell, I'm very good at starting projects, but not very good at finishing. This project also uses all DMC that was supplied in the kit. And I put this on Christmas gift tags instead of floss drops. And it's Lucky Nutcracker. And I also changed the fabric. It wasn't the fabric that came in the kit, which was beautiful. It was a pale blue. But I wanted to put it on this sparkly Zweigart fabric, which is a 32 count. So quite a lot of progress on that, and something that I need to get finished. But again, at the moment, I'm not really feeling the Christmas stitching. So I think this is going to be in the cubby for later. Put that one away. Right, are you all still with me? We're probably about halfway through, I would say. This is one of my favourite projects, and I don't know why I haven't picked it up for such a long time. In here I've got Anniversaries of the Heart by Blackbird Designs, and let me just get it out, and this really needs some immediate attention. Again, I've got a bit of a mix and match of flosses in here. I'm trying to get them all out. And because, as you know, some of the overdyed flosses that are in the Blackbird charts, because these are quite old, are a little bit different from how they appear on the photographs. So I've just pulled some of the called fors, and some of them are as close as I can get, and I've just gone with it, and I'm trying to sort of carry that flow through each monthly piece. If there's a colour that I've chosen, I'm just trying to make it look a bit cohesive as I go through, as I'm picking my own colours. So hopefully it's working out all right. And I can't even remember where I'm up to. It's such a long time since this has been out of the bag. So where are we up to? So as you can see, the top row is done. So that's January, February. The middle one is a bonus block, March and April, and then May. So we could look at it that I've got sort of like a good 4-month head start if I pick this up again and start working on May, which is actually I should say, got quite a bit of progress on it. And then I can get on to June. And I haven't done, apart from the initials of the first block here, which I did for my dad, the rest of them, I know who they're all going to be dedicated to, but, oh, and Justin's name is on the March block because he's a March baby. I'm going to go back at the end and fill in all of the sort of dedications of these. So this is an absolute priority. I love this, and this is going to be the year that it gets completed. And of course, there's new things that have happened this year. Enzo, my grandson, was born, so he'll be going on here. Alfie was born in 2022, and a kind viewer, I think it was Joanne, that sent me an email with a link to a free DMC Jack Russell Terrier chart. So I might have to stitch it over one to fit it in. And I think it was Olivia of Pumpkin Hollow Quilts that put her little Freddie into her Anniversaries of the Heart. And I think she did a similar thing on the very last block and did it over one to fit it in. So I thought that was a lovely idea. So somewhere Alfie will feature on Anniversaries of the Heart. And then of course it'll be the monster task of getting it framed. Well, either trying to do it myself, or I think it'd be quite expensive to get it framed. But once it's stitched, it will deserve really good treatment, I think. So that's going in the monthly basket, but that's also a priority. So that's going to be one that gets started on again almost immediately. This looks like a Christmassy bag here. And this was my 25th day stitch last year. Laurie Holt was doing a stitch along where every 25th of the month you stitch something Christmassy, and I think of course she finished hers, and probably lots of other people did, and I didn't finish mine. And you can probably tell what I'm stitching. It's the Heartstring Samplery Baby It's Cold Outside, and I just love those little houses. I think they're super cute. I love this fabric too. This is Fibre on a Whim, I think. I've got the tag here. Fibre on a Whim 32 count espresso, and I think it works really well with the white as well. I think the snowflakes are going to stand out really well. I'm using all the cord 4. Actually, did I add 712 instead of grits? I think I might have added DMC. I think I might have made up the whites myself. But I love that project. And it's actually a really nice sort of winter one, isn't it? It's not just Christmassy. So I think this is one to stay out and be worked on throughout these winter months, January and February at least. So that can go in the Get It Done bag. And then this bag here, this is another Caterpillar cross stitch project, and this is How Does Your Garden Grow. This is the one with the cute little gnome in his garden. But there's quite a lot of stitching to be done on this one soon, and I think this might be one to save until the summer months again. And all the DMC flosses that were supplied with the kit. and also the called for fabric, which is a 32 count even weave. So there's that little guy, and of course the really cute little needle minder as well. I think I made a little bit of an error somewhere over here on the chart as well. Clearly counting is a little bit too difficult for me, but I think it's going to work out okay. So that can go in the cubby for looking at later. And this one here, this is a similar situation to the granny squares that I showed you right at the beginning. It's, what's this one called? What's the chart called? It's called Prim and Proper. It's another one from Holt, published by So Emma. Gorgeous design. This uses again all the Prim Orifloss collection that Holt did with Orifil, and I've made some really good progress on this. I'm stitching it on the I think this is called Petty Point. It's kind of printed onto the Zweigart linen, and I think this is a 32 count. Yes, it is, and I love it, but I stopped because I was worried about running out of floss for the Prim Stitch series, so I thought I'd sort of put it on the back burner. So I think I'm going to do that again, and it can go in the later on cubby, and once Prim Stitch series is finished, then I won't need to worry. I mean, obviously I can buy more floss, but I want to make sure that I don't run out for the main project that I bought it for. Okay, this is Glitter Village, and this has been started more than once, but this iteration of it is the latest and final one. And again, these are monthly parts from Country Cottage Needleworks, 9 in total, and I'm stitching mine all as one piece. You can stitch them individually, and when I started again I went to the 32 count silver Zweigart linen, and I got as far as, is block 1 completely finished? I think it is. I would need to double check, might be some back stitching needed on the tree, but that's as far as I got. And I'm using all the called for. There's no floss ring in here for some reason. I did actually buy a stash of floss rings. I'm not quite sure where I put them. I'll look for them later. But I've got all the classic Colourworks called for here in a big old heap. And this time I'm using the treasure braid, petite treasure braid from Rainbow Gallery in place of the gold, because the gold, I think it was an Elvira Soie that's called for in the patterns that I couldn't get. So I'm using the gold, and that treasure braid is actually quite a lot easier to stitch with, certainly than some of the DMC metallics. So this one is going to go, should it go in monthlies? Monthly parts. Okay. I know what's in here, and it's a shame, but I know how I feel about it. So in this bag is, this was a split, no it isn't, it's not what I thought it was at all. Okay, and this is why WIP parades are fun, aren't they? Because if you're anything like me, some of these things haven't been opened for a very long time, and you forget what's in there. And yep, there's 2 projects in this bag as well. So okay, the first one is Strawberry Fields Forever. Sorry, that's blowing out a bit. Strawberry Fields Forever by Blackbird Designs, and I can't remember the fabric, but luckily there's a tag on it. It's 36 count catkin from Eva Faith, and there's no point unfurling this because that is all that I got done, so not very much. So just the top, is it the top corner? Yeah, just the very top corner that I started that, and I think I'm using called for. If it is all DMC, then I'm using called for. I'm using the DMC conversion. It gives you all the mostly Gentle Arts and some Weeks Dye Works and the DMC numbers in brackets, and I think I'm mostly using the DMCs with that. You can see how neat the flosses are. This is how much this has been touched. I really like that project. I think this one's going to have to stay out. The other project living in that bag is I love this. This is Cross Stitch Nation from Heartstring Samplery, and I'll just hold it a bit closer so you can see. And this one, I don't know what fabric this is. I think it's I don't think it's 36 count because I'm stitching with 2 strands. But I got the top border and the text done and started on the lady, and that was as far as I got. And I think these are called for. We've got classic colourworks, a few DMCs, weeks, a little bit of everything in there. So I think this is a stay out bag because there's 2 really nice projects in there and they both need a little bit more love. And once I start finishing some of these projects, I think I'll find that I've got a lot more floss than I think I have. It's just that it's all in bags, and sometimes you're kitting up, and what's sort of on my little hangy things here, which is not very good floss storage. But yeah, you keep buying more, don't you? And then you find out it's all in these project bags. So that's going in the priority bag. Priority bag's getting quite full. Next project. Can I guess what this is? Yes, I can. And I really, really need to get this one done. So this is Parade of Elephants by, oh, there's some scissors, that's handy. This is Parade of Elephants by Hello from Liz Matthews. And this is a stitch that I started for Enzo and fell by the wayside. And I've just started. Is this attached? Yep, it is. That's naughty, isn't it? Just to stop. We've got one elephant there. And I plan to make this, finish this into a drum because I think it would look really nice in his room. And I've got all the cord for, which is all DMC. So this is absolute priority to get this one stitched for him and stop being a naughty nanny. Okay, I'll keep those scissors out because that's handy. Pop those on there. Okay, how are we doing? I keep finding lots of these little bags as well, so I'm obviously quite good at holding those. Okay, we've got another mystery project in here. I have no clue. And let's have a look. Ah, okay. Let's get everything out and see where we are. So I've got a lovely neat packet of DMCs there. I think that came from Carla at the Patchwork Rabbit. I've got not a colour copy, it's a black and white copy. So this is from Cosford Rise Stitchery, and this is the Dedham Vale, which is, as it says, part 1 of A Wander Through Cosford Rise. And these are all scenes of Suffolk, which is the county here in England where I live. So I was particularly keen to stitch this, and I don't think I got very far at all. And because it's a 9-part, stitched as one, you had to start in the middle of the fabric, and that is my very pitiful start. So that one needs a bit of love, and I've only actually purchased part 1 of the pattern so far. So, but I have got the flosses, and I need to, I think this is going to be a come back to one. So I think the priorities are getting a little bit full. But if you go on to Cosford Rise Stitchery's Instagram, you can see the full series because they were all released last year, 2022. So you'll be able to see them, and it's a really pretty stitch. Okay, we are getting down to single figures, I think now, of project bags in front of me, and then I will go and grab those other 2. And this next one, this has not been out for a while. This is Grounding Force. I'm going to get it out of the bag so you can see it. It's another one from Beth Twist, one of my favourite designers. I think Beth Twist, Blackbird and Brenda Gervais, all the bees, are my favourites. But then so is Laurie Holt. There's so many. Hence all these bags of whips. So this is beautiful. I didn't choose to do it on the dark fabric. I have chosen to do it on, what's this fabric? Again, I have no clue, which is a bit of a shame. I think I might have dyed this myself, you know. I think I may have dyed this with tea or walnut crystals or something. But yeah, I've got a bit of a border and a feeble attempt at one of the, I think they're strawberries on this, or they look a little bit like radishes, don't they? But yes, I love this design. I'm using called for DMCs, really lovely colour palette, and one that I would like to pick up again. I'm going to put it in priorities because I really like that one. I think I should be, apart from stitch alongs that I've agreed to do, I think I should be working purely from WIPs this year. I don't know if I'll be able to do that. I think I'm going to have to give it a go because there's most of these I really want the finished projects. Okay, next bag up is, I have no clue what's in this one either. And the bag's a bit stuck, which is not helping situations. Something's got caught in the zip. Where are those little scissors? That was handy, wasn't it? I don't think that's... Just bear with me 1 second. Okay, I'm going to come back to that one when I pause to get the other things. Another one here. And this is... this is Sew by Row by Laurie Holt. And I did have this as my lunchtime cast stitch for a while because it's 28 count and I can see it without my magnifier, and that's kind of the only deciding factor for what I stitch in the car at lunchtime. So it's a 28 count Lugana, and you can see my crazy method with the last row that I'm stitching of just getting it across and then filling in. And this is all DMC on the little beekeeper, floss keeper there, and I'll show you a picture of the chart. And I think I've got a project bag in my car as well. I think it's Snowballs for sale, which I'm not going out to the car because I've got my slippers on. So I will go to the lounge and get the other patterns to show you. But that is Sew by Row. And I've got the quilt for this as well. So I'm actually thinking, given that it's going to be quite a big piece, I think this might be up for rehoming actually. Let's just pop the chart back in, if it will go. Yeah, I'll have a little think about that one. We'll put that one in the cubby. Okay, so that can go in there. And then the next one, just flashing these up, I won't go into too much detail because we've already been 43 minutes. And this was for the Platinum Jubilee this year for our dear late Queen. And yeah, a bit bittersweet now, isn't it? But it needs to be finished. This is Happy and Glorious, the main sort of sampler design, and I made a couple of changes to mine. I put the crown on top of the house there, which, as you can see from here, as you can see, there isn't a crown on the house, and it's charted with Happy and Glorious. And my plan is to, because I've put the crown on there, I'm just going to put an ampersand in there just so it says Happy and Glorious, if that makes sense, just so I can squeeze it in. And then I need to get that one finished. I'd like to have it done sort of by the summertime. Yeah, it's a bit sad really, isn't it, to have been stitching that for the Jubilee, and I'm using all DMC called for that project. And the just incidentally, the crown that I've put on top of the house is just the crown from that chart there. And that's all from Samplers and Stitches, which I think is Carol X Stitch. So that one's going to go in the do it later, but it's not going to be too much later, hopefully. Go in there. And then we have, this is the one that I thought I was opening earlier, that was Grounding Force, because they're both Liberty bags. This is a bit of a failed experiment, really. I splurged on some Avira Soie d'Alger silks for this project, and this is a Hands Across the Sea design where flowers bloom. And I did try picking it up again, because before I'd only ever got this section done, and I did this, and I think the problem with this is the linen. It's beautiful linen. It's from, where's it from? It doesn't actually say, but I got this from Hoop and Frame, but I think it's a much higher count than I thought it was. It might even be higher than 40, and I have no business trying to stitch on fabric that fine. And it's quite a heavy linen as well. I found it really difficult to stitch on, so I think this one is going to fall by the wayside, and I can always use the silks for something else. But it's sort of holding me back, because I feel like I should stitch it because I splurged on the silks, and then I feel guilty for not stitching it, but when I do pick it up I don't enjoy it. So I'm not going to do that to myself anymore. I'm going to give myself permission to move on from that project and yeah, use the silks for something else. So that one's going to go by the wayside. That leaves me with one here that I can open and the other bag that I couldn't open. So let me show you what's in this one, and then I'll pop and get the other project bags from the lounge. And in here we have another Heartstring Samplery, and this one is a token for my friend. And this, I think, Sewn in Friendship, it was the yeah, collaborative project with Plum Street Samplers. I think Beth Twist and is it Paulette from Plum Street got together, and Plum Street has the other sort of half of this, if you like, that sort of sister project. And this one I think I made pretty good progress on, actually, and using all the called for, which is mostly weeks, a little bit of DMC in there and a Gentle Arts. So again, that's one that needs to be done because there isn't a huge amount. It's a 36 count and I'm stitching over 1 on that, which I've found recently is my favourite. I'm really enjoying that. I like the way my stitches look. So I'm going to pause for a moment and go and grab those other projects and wrangle this bag open because everything's got caught in the zip, and I'll be back in just a sec. Right, I just went and fetched the other couple of bags from the lounge and opened up the stuck zipper on that bag so I can show you what was in there. And this is, there were 2 projects in the stuck zip bag, and the first one is Spring Violets from Hands Across the Sea, and I'm stitching that with the called for DMCs, really pretty colours. And the fabric is a 36 count Edinburgh linen Zweigart in the colour Winter Moon, and progress was not great, as you can see. It was just a little tiny smidgen of a start. I think I started in the middle. I would like to get back to that one. I think the finished project is really, really pretty and a lovely sentiment. So I think that one is a keeper, but not a priority. And the other thing that I'd put into that bag was the sampler that my Auntie Tina had started, that I shared on a floss tube a little while ago. She sadly passed away this year, My cousin gave me this because he knew I was a cross stitcher and thought I might like to have it. So I'm going to figure out a way of finishing this for her. So I think I should probably really pop that one into the priorities because I would like to get that one done. So I'm going to pop that in there, and this one can go in the cubby. It needs to go in a project bag, but I'll sort that out in a moment. And then the 2 bags from the lounge, what I've been stitching on most recently. And the stitch that I'm working on right at this moment is Winter Rose Manor by Brenda Gervais. I love this project so much, and I decided that I really need to put a bit more effort into it, and I think it's perfect for this sort of post-Christmas. It's still got that lovely wintry feel, but it's not too Christmassy. So in the bag I have, I think, all the called for, or mostly, I'd say about 90% called for flosses and scissors and spare needles in there. And this fabric is a 32 count linen from XU Designs. I'm just going to take my needle minder off there. And it was in the colourway Seashell, and I actually over dyed it with some walnut crystals just to give me more of the effect that I wanted. And since I picked it up again, I've sort of plotted out the house, and I'm trying to get as much of the outlining done so that I can do lots of filling. You can barely see that conch there, but it is there. You can probably see it a little bit better down here where I've started the bottom of the house. And I don't know if anybody else is like me. I tend to try, because I'm not very good at counting, and I find it a little bit tedious, I tend to sort of work to markers, sort of like marker points, landmarks if you like. So I knew by stitching this little berry here on the border that that's where I needed to start the corner of the roof. And you can see where I did the berries here, so I knew where to start the corner of the house. So I don't know if anybody else does that. I should just stitch the whole border really, but I do get very, very distracted, and I just thought it was wise to get cracking on the house because that is the biggest part of this sampler. So that's staying out. This one is priority. I should be stitching on this again later today because I really, really love it, and I just want to get as much done as I can during these winter months. So I'm going to make sure I pop all my things back in there. I'm not even going to put that one away in the basket. That's going back in the lounge. And this final project was my Christmas stitch that I didn't get finished. And this is, can I find the photograph? This is Cup of Christmas Cheer by Brenda Gervais with Thy Needle and Thread. This is absolutely gorgeous. I knew I wouldn't get it finished in time for Christmas, but really enjoyed stitching on it in the sort of few days up to Christmas. And I stopped stitching on this probably about 2 or 3 days ago when I picked up Winter Rose Manor again. Now I'm using fabric which is, oh, I'm not sure, that's not very helpful. It's 36 count for sure. I think it's Vintage Country Mocha. And excuse my little needle minder on there, and you can see I've got most of Santa's face, beard and the white fur brim of his hat done, and I've moved on to the red, and this is stitched 1/2 on 36 count using all the called for. And this is my lovely floss ring and bling from Paula, which was in my advent with her. So this can go away for a little while now because Christmas for me is done now. Our decks are down, the tree's up in the loft again, and everything's all been tidied up. The house has been cleaned, and Christmas has gone for another year, so I shall be picking up. But I think I probably do need to schedule some Christmas pieces into my stitching through the year to make sure I can get some of those pieces ready for next Christmas. So I hope you enjoyed seeing all my whips. I have brought back to the table in front of me the pieces that I was uncertain about, and I think I've made a decision on what I'm going to do with them. So I think the Jane Austen sampler, which was this one, is that upside down? Is that the right? Yes, upside down. So this one, I think I'm going to just put it to one side and restart it again on a higher count fabric. So that can go in the cubby. The same thing for All Creatures Great and Small by Barbara. I think I will persevere with that one. Just think about it some more. I think I've done too much on it to just cast it aside for now. So I'll keep that one and have another little think on that one. I don't want to make too much of a hasty decision. But that leaves the Madame Chantilly Spring Tiered Tray, and it also leaves Sew by Row by Laurie Holt. And I would like to offer these two projects up for adoption. And when I say that, I mean I will send you, if you are interested and you'd like to complete them, you don't have to enter if you don't want to, but if anybody did want to, I know I did that last year, and there were a couple of projects. One in particular went off to Sue in Jersey, and she completed it and it was gorgeous. So I know I'm not going to finish these, so if you want to do that, if you don't mind adopting an orphan stitch, just let me know. I'll send you the piece and the chart. I will need to keep the floss just for my own stash, but they're DMC, both of them, so quite easy to pick up again. The backs aren't perfect, but they aren't too bad either. And if you're interested, for the springtime one, just use the word spring in your comment below if you'd be interested in giving this a home and a chance at becoming a finished item at some point. And if you're interested in Sew by Row, again, the same thing. I'll send you the piece and the chart. And there's the back of that one. So again, if you're interested in that one, just use the word sew, S-E-W. So spring, did I say springtime? Yes, springtime and sew. And please be a subscriber to my channel, and if you haven't subscribed, please do consider it. I'm getting really, really close to 10,000, and it would be lovely to be able to do that this year. Please like the video, and please be over 18, because I will need to ask you for your address so I can send the fabric and the chart to you. So that's springtime and sew for the two projects that are looking for new homes. I'm going to put everything away now, and I think I'll probably get my planner out and just jot down those things that I want to get cracking on. And I wish you again all a very happy new year, and I'll see you all soon. Take care.